Some people are loud about their strength. Others never talk about it. They don't post it. They don't explain it. They don't even realize how rare it is. Psychologists have noticed something unsettling. The strongest minds don't look strong at all. They don't dominate conversations. They don't prove points. They don't seek validation. Instead, they move quietly, and their silence is not weakness. If you recognize yourself in what you're about to hear, this video may explain why you've always felt different, why people misunderstand you, and why under pressure you don't break the way others do. Stay until the end, because the final chapter reveals the behavior almost no one notices, yet it predicts mental resilience better than intelligence or confidence ever could.
You don't explain yourself unless it truly matters. Most people feel an urge to explain, to justify, to clarify every move they make. Mentally strong people don't. Not because they're arrogant, but because they've learned something painful early on. Not everyone is listening to understand. When you constantly explain yourself, you hand control to other people's opinions. You let them decide whether your reasons are good enough. Over time, this creates anxiety, self-doubt, and emotional dependence. Strong minds choose silence instead. They know their intentions, they know their values, and they don't need outside approval to validate inner truth. Psychologists call this internal grounding, the ability to remain stable without constant external confirmation. This doesn't mean they never communicate. It means they speak selectively. When something truly matters, they're clear and firm. When it doesn't, they let misunderstandings exist. And that silence, it protects energy. It filters relationships. It reveals who respects boundaries and who doesn't. If you've ever been accused of being cold or distant simply because you didn't over-explain yourself, that wasn't a flaw. It was mental strength operating quietly. You feel emotions deeply, but rarely display them. There's a myth that strong people don't feel much. Psychology shows the opposite. Mentally resilient individuals often feel more, not less. They just don't leak emotions everywhere. They experience disappointment without broadcasting it. They process anger without exploding. They grieve privately. Why? Because they understand something most people never learn. Emotions are information, not commands. Instead of reacting immediately, they pause. They observe the feeling. They ask what it's trying to tell them. This emotional containment isn't repression, it's regulation. It allows them to make decisions from clarity instead of impulse, to avoid regret, to stay composed when chaos hits. Ironically, this silence often makes others uncomfortable. People expect visible reactions. When they don't get them, they project. You don't care. You're detached. You're hiding something. But what's really happening is control, quiet, disciplined control. If you've ever been in emotional pain yet continued functioning calmly, if people were shocked you weren't more upset, that wasn't numbness. That was resilience most people don't possess. You observe more than you speak. In group settings, many people talk to be seen. Mentally strong people watch first. They notice tone changes, micro-reactions, who interrupts whom, who listens, and who waits to speak. This silent observation builds social intelligence. By saying less, they collect more data. By listening, they learn motives. By staying quiet, they avoid revealing strategy too early. Psychologists link this behavior to advanced self-control and foresight. It's the opposite of impulsivity. While others rush to fill silence, strong minds use silence as a tool. They let people reveal themselves. And when they finally speak, their words land with weight because they're informed, precise, and intentional.
If you've ever felt drained by small talk, if you prefer watching dynamics unfold instead of participating blindly, that's not introversion alone. It's cognitive restraint, a trait strongly associated with leadership and long-term success. One of the hardest things to do psychologically is to leave without closure. No final argument, no dramatic exit, no last message. Mentally strong people can do this. Not because they don't care, but because they know not every ending requires explanation. When boundaries are crossed repeatedly, they don't beg for understanding. They don't argue endlessly. They disengage quietly. This behavior requires enormous inner stability. It means tolerating being misunderstood. It means resisting the urge to defend your story. Most people can't handle that. They need the last word. They need validation. They need to be seen as right. Strong minds choose peace over ego. If you've ever walked away and let silence speak for you, that wasn't weakness. That was emotional independence in its purest form. Being misunderstood hurts, but being controlled by misunderstanding hurts more. Mentally strong people accept a difficult truth early in life. You cannot manage everyone's perception of you, so they stop trying. They let false assumptions exist. They allow others to project. They don't correct every wrong idea. Why? Because their identity is self-defined. This creates psychological freedom. It reduces anxiety. It removes the need to perform. Ironically, this often leads to deeper respect over time. People sense the stability, the lack of neediness, the quiet confidence. If you've ever felt at peace, even when others didn't get you, that peace came from strength, not indifference. You don't react immediately. Strong minds insert space between stimulus and response. They don't answer texts instantly when emotions are high. They don't respond to provocation on impulse. They pause. This pause is power. It allows emotions to settle, logic to surface, and perspective to return. Most people confuse speed with confidence. Psychology shows restraint is far rarer. If you're someone who waits, thinks, and then responds calmly, you're exercising one of the strongest mental muscles there is. You rely on yourself more than you admit. Mentally resilient people don't announce independence. They just live it. They solve problems quietly. They self-soothe. They don't collapse publicly. This doesn't mean they never need help. It means they don't depend on constant reassurance. This self-reliance often forms early, sometimes out of necessity, sometimes through disappointment. And while it can feel lonely, it builds unshakable inner strength. You're calm when others panic. This is the rarest sign of all. When chaos hits, when pressure rises, when others spiral, you become calm. Not because you don't care, but because your mind switches into clarity mode. Psychologists associate this with advanced stress tolerance and high emotional regulation. It's not taught, it's forged. If this is you, you are mentally stronger than most people you'll ever meet, even if no one ever notices. And that silence, that's where your power lives.